Fallen, read by Sebastian Brown and Eliza Chadwick. Chapter 3. Doing the Research. The entire crew had a rough couple of days following their chat with Bishop Sinclair. While preparing for their last assignment, heated discussions erupted among the leadership regarding which course to follow. Even at a departmental level, rumors spread, and teams formed with the intent to break off if the leaders chose against their interests. For Telvia, the idea of abandoning those in need when they needed help the most was repulsive. A handful of crew members shared his reasoning. "We just have to be more careful and use protective equipment more often," he thought. A small part of him recoiled at the idea. After 8 years of surviving, most people were tired of masks and precautions, himself included. The rest of the crew, the majority, were not so charitable, including Telvia's wife and son. They valued their health and what it meant for their future. It was worth preserving, and they weren't going to risk it. Emotionally, he felt betrayed by his team and family, yet his logical side understood their point of view. It was just painful that no one seemed to understand his. The spear took off and headed toward Bishop Sinclair's contact, an old acquaintance. Oremos, the ship's captain, worked to convert the contact's address into coordinates for the ship's map. Before the war, a computer would have charted the ship's course with the press of a button. Now, with no access to satellites or a network connection, these things needed to be done by a navigator. The stars, once neglected, became useful again. Because of the global blackout, the cosmos shined brightly at night, sometimes even through the dust in the air. Fenno's team finished analyzing the memory drives extracted from the drones they had taken down at the last camp, revealing scout routes and tracing them back to the collective's base. The logs also hinted that the faction had a generator, though it was unclear whether it was salvaged or newly built. If brought online, it could power larger, deadlier sentinels, shifting the arms race in their favor. So far, the Church hadn't had any luck. They relied on power plants and solar panels, but fuel was scarce, and with the sun obscured, the panels were barely efficient. The Church was falling behind on this arms race. The spear left the massive city behind and landed in woodlands some distance away from the given address to avoid drawing attention. 3 crew members proceeded on foot: Telvia, Attima, and Fenno. They came across a clearing where a cabin complex stood. Some houses were old, others newly built, but all shared the same old-fashioned style, constructed from big timber logs and natural resources found in the land. The crew walked up to what seemed to be the main building before 2 armed figures intercepted them. The crew had firearms, but never drew them. They raised their hands in a peaceful manner. "Bishop Sinclair sent us. We are here to see Brother Liamar, Terran Liamar," Telvia shouted from a distance. They were escorted to the stables in the back and disarmed. No one seemed to mind except Fenno, who needed to be held back. Someone guarded the door. He looked like a worker, not a soldier, with dirty clothes that suggested he had been in the middle of his duties when interrupted. The crew inside the stables sat on barrels, buckets, and whatever they could find, waiting. After some time, a figure stepped in through the door. "We don't get visitors here. In fact, the whole point of living here is to not get visitors. Who are you, and what do you want?" He looked old but strong. He wore overalls similar to the guard at the door, rubbing his dirty hands with a rag as if also interrupted by the visit. Attima stood up before Telvia.
"Bishop Sinclair sent us. We're from the Spear. The Church is going through financial problems and restructuring its personnel. Our team is down about 100, mostly clean, and we've been told to find others like us. Sinclair said you'd done some research on this."
She spoke sharply as usual, but also sounded annoyed. She found it absurd that they came all the way here to discuss such an obvious choice. Telvia added, "But if we leave, a research center we've been supplying and protecting in the inner city might be left defenseless. They are doing important work on fertility." He made sure Atma didn't miss that important part. She rolled her eyes. Terran scoffed. My research, huh? He looked out the window, disappointed. His mouth pulled wide, his eyes narrowed and wrinkled. Only Sinclair would call it that. I only shared my observations with him. While at the church, I also wore that vest and served people like you do. I noticed that after a few years of surviving this apocalypse, most people abandoned rules in exchange for survival. To the point that now, it's part of the culture even after survival stopped being an immediate threat. These people now think, obviously, you steal to survive. Obviously, you kill to survive. Obviously, it's them or me, he said, increasing his contempt with each repetition. He leaned forward. Once rules disappear from society, it takes decades to bring them back. Any attempt at order is considered oppression. Any attempt at taking the moral high ground will be taken advantage of. I saw their descent into madness. Fenno jabbed a finger at him. Absolutely true, Terran continued. I left Sinclair's side and came here with my family and friends to start anew. We are one generation in. We have our rules and we don't compromise them. We are as healthy as one can be in this shattered atmosphere, and we raise our young well. Progress is made one generation at a time. He spoke with pride. There was a pause. Telvia was furious. Is this what the bishop wanted him to hear? Is that why they travelled all this way? Is there anyone in this city on his side? This did not inform their decision at all. Clearly, the research we spoke of is of no interest to you, said Telvia. We appreciate your time. If you could please release us, we'll be on our way. His face steamed with anger. I'm not leaving until we settle this, said Fenno, sitting back down on his overturned bucket.
Terran is right, Telvia. It's an arms race in the city right now. It's not wise to stand in the middle of that. We should do what these people did here. We have the numbers to start our own village,
said Atma. How could you even work for the church with those kind of views about people? Telvia shouted at Terran, losing his composure. I'm not in church here, am I? Terran said confidently. Fine then. Telvia yanked the director's pin from his shirt and tossed it to Atma. A decision has been made. You're in charge now. Go ahead. Take the crew as far away as possible from those who need them. He fumed. All right, let's go, said Fenno, standing up. Now hold on there. What's your name? Said Terran, raising a hand to calm everyone down. Telvia, look. It's been clear since we first spoke about this. The majority of the crew leans heavily in one direction, and I can't lead them in the opposite direction. I get it. I have to step down, he said, still fuming. I have a proposal, said Terran. Sinclair sent you, Telvia. I trust you. Why don't you stay here with us? We have a spare cabin. Your crew can pick you up in a few days' time. Time is the friend of wisdom, and you're facing a major decision. Spend that time here. What do you say?
We can bring your family here if you wish,
Atma added, with a hint of guilt. This is not the time for a vacation, said Telvia. Terran walked toward the door. It won't be. This here is what your crew wants. I'm offering you the chance to experience it firsthand before making your choice. Then he left. Chapter 4. Sacrifice. Telvia stood at the top of a hill near the village as the sun hung low in the red sky. From there, he could see the massive size of the city. It was charred and black, stretching as far as the eye could see. The dust-choked air limited that distance more than before. It was an empty sprawl, vast yet meaningless. like a landfill long forgotten. He saw for the first time how several Genetox smog clouds clung to buildings and seeped through the streets, unbroken, like octopods on the hunt. He remembered clearly what it looked like before all this. The city shone like a pearl. The skies were busy with traffic, and beams of light shot into the sky in celebration. Every aspect of it was a luxury now in comparison. Once home to millions, the city now housed only a few thousand. Enough for each family to claim its own ruined skyscraper with plenty to spare. He made his way back to the village before it got dark. He stopped by a small shack with a tall radio tower behind it to check for messages. Attima had written down their radio frequency and kept it before she left with the spear a couple of days ago. He had not heard back from them since. Velma's job was communications. The old radio operator listened to the radio all day and always had new gossip to share. He told Telvia his latest revelation. The moon colony had dropped the bombs and was coming to take over. Telvia feigned interest, mumbled about being late for an errand, and slipped away.
"It was their plan all along. I'm on to them,"
Velma yelled. The stress he felt over his reassignment had been tamed. He still believed his purpose was to help people, but he was reminded that there was an order to it. His family came first. He couldn't remember the last time he'd seen his son run so much or laugh so hard. His wife had been helping out around the village and came home filled with purpose at the end of each day. The hard, repetitive work gave him space to think. But no matter how much he labored, that gnawing helplessness always crept back in. He had yet to shake off the idea that he would be fine while so many others were not. The next morning, he walked by the radio shack on his way to work. Terran and a few more people gathered outside, their conversation more serious than usual. He approached the group and listened in.
"There's 3 of them with that description. It could have been any of them. Did they say which?"
Terran said.
"Nah, they didn't. They are after them, though. Oh, those boys are mad,"
said Velma, wearing the radio headphones.
"Telvia, come. He should know,"
Terran said.
"The ship's owned by the church. What kind of firepower do they have?"
"Firepower? None," Telvia said. "They're cargo ships. A few armed members for security, mostly volunteers. That's it."
"Well, those volunteers must be well trained. One of those ships went downtown and raided the collective last night. It's all over the radio. Velma here wrote everything down."
Telvia felt a knot in his stomach. He had a feeling they were talking about Fenno's team. Velma jumped in.
"They said it looked like 20 to 30 people, armed to the teeth, went in and wrecked the whole place. They blew up their reactor, the generator, stole their supplies, set the place on fire, killed people. The whole thing was a mess, Telvia, a mess. You can see the smoke from here,"
he said, shaking his hands. 20 to 30 people? That couldn't have been us, Telvia said, sweating. He looked in that direction and saw plenty of smoke in the far distance. He brought a hand to his forehead. Terran crossed his arms.
"Let's think this through. We know the collective is made up of different survivor bands trying to unite, but they've never agreed on leadership. They've been sabotaging each other's power supply for years. This isn't new. The giveaway is how they described the ship that attacked them." Velma slapped his notes. "Only the church has 3 of those ships, no doubt about it. Caught red-handed." "Why would the church start something like that?" "See if you can contact them," Terran suggested. "Ask for Sinclair."
Telvia's heart was pounding. He had heard of Fenno's reputation as a tactician before joining the Spear. When executing surprise attacks, his squad of 10 could feel like 30 to the receiving end. I leave them alone for a few days and they start a war, he thought to himself. He went around the village looking for his wife and son. They went to his cabin and started packing up. He needed to get to headquarters, hear from Sinclair, and take back control, while he still had a chance. After some time, Velma came running to his cabin.
"Telvia, they are coming for you."
Telvia stepped outside. "What?
Who is? The spear. They are coming to pick you up. They say it's an emergency. Get your stuff, quick. I'll carry the kid for you. Come on!
Velma ran inside.
No, he's fine. I need you to keep an eye on the skies. Tell me if you see them. Got it?
Telvia lured him out.
You got it!
Velma ran off. Telvia turned to his wife.
Oren, I'm having second thoughts about you and Orvin getting on that ship. It became the biggest target in the city last night. Everyone must be after it. It's not wise to bring you both on board.
The message didn't say anything about leaving us here. They must think it's safe. Besides, what are we going to do here on our own? We don't live here.
Oren argued.
I want to go on the ship.
Orvin protested. Telvia hesitated. She had a point. Why would the ship want all of them aboard if it wasn't safe? And what was this emergency Velma mentioned? If the ship was coming all the way here just to pick him up, he must be the only one who could solve whatever was going on. It was the only thing that made sense. Oren stepped closer, pulling him into a firm embrace. Orvin quickly latched onto them both. Their touch steadied Telvia's racing thoughts.
You haven't even left yet and you're already thinking of going on your own again. Don't forget what we've learned here. We stick together,
Oren said. Telvia sighed.
Right, as always.